Guys, I was just thinking about Tucker's video, the flight to McDonald's, the video that first gave me awareness of paramotors. You know, today it has 45 million views on it, and most of those people looked at that video and said, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And most of those people decided they're never gonna try it. So what is it that makes someone go from awareness of paramotors to actually take that leap and decide to go out and get some instruction and get in the air? When I saw the video, I probably had the same thoughts as most people. It sounds expensive, it sounds dangerous, I don't have time to go train, I don't know where I'd get instruction, I don't know how to maintain a motor, I don't know anything about aviation, I don't know about weather. How could I possibly get involved? But the more research I did, I came to understand that I could go out and seek training and have a safe and successful career flying a paramotor. Let's talk about it in the air. So after I first became aware of paramotors, I was doing all the research. How much did these things cost? I looked at the cost of training and it was in the thousands. Plus, you might have to put aside some time to travel to your school of choice. So you already know that there's this huge commitment of time and money before you even get into the sport. And you're not quite ready to commit right away. So you're kind of left feeling unsatisfied. So I want to tell you 5 different things you can do for under $250 to start your journey into paramotors. And of course, you're going to start by doing some of your research. You're going to learn about some local paramotor schools. You're going to read online forums, watch videos, and learn everything you can. But I'd encourage you to reach out to a paramotor school and ask if they offer an intro day course. I took one at my school. It cost me $250, and I had the opportunity to meet paramotor pilots, meet instructors, kite a wing, lay my eyes on the motor and some of the other gear, and observe people launching and landing. I got a chance to ask questions, and it was so satisfying to actually get up close and personal with paramotors. I found a list of paramotor schools on the website usppa.org, but you might find a list of other reputable schools around you by doing a Google search or looking on paramotor forums or by word of mouth from other paramotor pilots within the community. Another thing you can do is buy the PPG Bible, and you can begin to learn all about training and gear, wing handling, weather, airspace, and more. This book is the gold standard in consolidating and organizing paramotor knowledge. It's an incredible reference guide. You can go back to it time and again to check things out. But just keep in mind, this book is not a substitute for training. Nothing will replace that interactive experience you have with an instructor, someone who's an experienced trainer, someone who can tell you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong as you're learning to work with the wing and motor. Another great thing you can do is get to know the local flying group. If there's a group of pilots who get together routinely and fly together, they may allow you to come out to the field and just observe the process, laying out the wing, launching, landing. You may have the opportunity to ask some questions about flying and the local scene, airports or other landing zones, events, stuff like that. Just a word of advice, don't interrupt the paramotor pilot when they're in the process of doing their pre-flight. They'll be working through a series of checks, inspections, other preparations that really shouldn't be interrupted. Another great thing you can do if you can find the opportunity is to take a paramotor discovery flight. This is a tandem flight with an instructor where you can actually go up in the paramotor and experience flight for yourself. Many paramotor schools offer this service, and you can likely find a flight for $200 or less. Another way to get up close and personal with paramotors is to attend a paramotor fly-in. It may cost you nothing to show up at a fly-in and again observe everything that goes on from the layout to the launch and the landing. A paramotor fly-in is just a group of pilots getting together to talk about paramotors, be together, and to do some flying. There are events all across the country, and you can actually go onto the website usppa.org, check out the events section, and see if there's a paramotor fly-in local to your area. So let me just talk about training. Training may cost between $1,500 and $3,500. And I think a lot of schools have a price right in the middle, about $2,500. Some schools may require you to travel, so you can attend a class like in 7 to 10 days and knock everything out in one shot. You may also find a local school where you can do your training on weekends and in the evenings. And then you can learn over the course of weeks or months. You can go back and visit the school and fly with your instructors and your classmates and be a part of that local community. Just a word about self-training. Some folks do self-train, but it's generally accepted that this is the more challenging route, and it can have hidden costs. You may end up with the wrong gear, you may end up with some failed launches or hard landings. But you want someone who's going to have your back. You don't have to go it alone. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Yeah, I heard someone who I really respect one time say, if I could give anyone advice, I would tell them to go out and get training from a reputable instructor, because, man, even though it's expensive, let's say $2,500, your life is worth so much more, man. So many people want to go out and buy a wing and practice kiting before they can go to training. And I've heard some people say this is fine, it's good to get a jump on your practice, but I've also heard a number of people say that you can really learn bad habits, and then those bad habits are difficult to unlearn. But people who are really eager to get into the sport and they can't quite get to training yet, oftentimes go out and buy equipment. A lot of times they'll say they found a great deal on eBay or Craigslist or something like that. But I've heard a ton of horror stories about people who are dumping their savings into gear and they find out later it's the wrong size, or it's old technology, or it's otherwise unsafe. And it's heartbreaking. You don't have to go it alone. I would always encourage anyone to wait to purchase gear until after they've begun their training, they're working with an instructor, and they have a real sense of what they need. Keep in mind that there are services out there that will inspect used wings for you to make sure that they're airworthy. When it comes to buying gear, wings may cost $3,000 to $4,000. Motors may cost $8,000 or $9,000. And so let's say that it may be on average $12,000 to get into the sport. Used gear in good condition may be half that amount. So again, leaping into the sport is definitely going to require some significant commitment. So do everything in your power to make sure that you get the best gear you can. Set yourself up for success. Don't rush into this thing and don't go it alone. Make sure you have people who have your back. If you found this information helpful, hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. So let's go ahead and get this landing. Make sure to nail it. All right, guys, thanks for joining me on the flight. Make sure to come back and join me on the next one. Check out the link for this hoodie here or in the show notes.